Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Christine Cronin. I'm here from the Workers' Compensation Rating and Inspection Bureau today to introduce to you our newest product, Assigned Risk Certificates of Insurance. This is a product that we're very excited about, and I suspect that you all are too. We have a half an hour for this program, so I'm going to try to keep it brief so we fit it all in. If you have questions, you can send them in, and I'll take your questions at the end of the broadcast. So brief description, tell you what this is. Assigned Risk Certificates of Insurance will allow you to log into the Workers' Compensation Rating and Inspection Bureau's website, and you'll be able to instantaneously request from our website and print off and deliver to certificate holders certificates of insurance for your assigned risk workers' compensation policies. So there are some times when this will be available to you, and there are times when it won't be available to you. So I'm going to go through some of those times with you now. So certificates of insurance will be available for you when the policy is an assigned risk workers' compensation policy issued by the assigned risk pool, when the agent that's listed on the policy is the same as the agent that is logged into the OR system. The policy needs to have been issued by the assigned carrier. If the policy isn't issued by the assigned carrier, then this won't be available to you. So that means if you've got an application that's been submitted to the Bureau, or if there's a notice of assignment that's been issued, but the carrier hasn't actually issued the policy, then this won't work. The assigned carrier needs to have reported the policy to the Bureau's coverage database, and it needs to have been received and successfully accepted. So there's no way that you as agents will know if we have a policy in our database, but fortunately the Department of Industrial Accidents displays part of our coverage database on their website. There's a link on the screen now that shows you. It's just available from right on their homepage. Now, times when you will not be able to issue or request a certificate of insurance from our website: if the policy was written in the voluntary market, or if it was written by a self-insurance group. If the policy as captured by our database does not show your agency as the broker of record, then you won't be able to get a certificate. So that means if you've recently submitted a broker of record letter to the carrier and they've processed it, but maybe they haven't reported it to us yet, you won't have access to that policy. Again, if they haven't issued the policy, or if the policy hasn't been reported into our database. And a thought here: if you can't access the policy from our database, from our system, then you always have the standard means of requesting certificates of insurance. So you'll be able to go right to the carrier and request the certificate of insurance using the form that we give you on the producer section of our website. So other instances when you won't be able to obtain a certificate of insurance from our website is if you need specific multiple employers' names or addresses listed on the certificate. We can't ever list multiple addresses. I'll get into it later. There are some times when we will be able to show multiple names and you'll have a choice. But if it doesn't meet your needs specifically, you can always go to the carrier of record and get the certificate. Also, if there are special coverages afforded on the policy that you need reflected on the certificate, like alternate employer, waiver of subrogation, designated workplace exclusion endorsement, those will not be reflected on the certificates. These are very simple record of coverage certificates. If the policy is more than 3 years old, then you'd need to go to the carrier. And lastly, if the policy is an employee leasing policy, then it will not even be available to you to get a certificate at all. Whereas with the other endorsements, like alternate employer, you'll be able to get a certificate. It's just not going to show that endorsement on there. But for employee leasing, it's not going to be available. So you'd have to go to the carrier. All right, so a couple of important notes that I need to bring up. One, we're making things nice and easy for you to obtain these certificates from our website. Please don't add language or delete anything from the form. Also, any forms that the Bureau issues, any certificates of insurance that the Bureau issues are provided to the assigned carrier. They'll have access to them on our system. And this is an important one. Typically, when a carrier issues a certificate of insurance, they send the certificate out to the certificate holder. Through our system, you're going to have an opportunity to give a certificate holder email address, and if you do so, we will send it to them. But if you don't give us an email address, then we're not going to mail it to them. That's going to be the responsibility of the producer to provide the certificate holder with the certificate itself. So now that we've gone through that piece, I'm going to show you how to access the tool and how to use it. You'll find it's very easy and very quick. So this is our lovely website. On the top right corner, you have two links. You've got the OR link and the online assigned risk link. They both lead you to our OR login page. So this page, this is where you enter your username and your password, and you click login. Now, this online assigned risks program, this is the program that you always log into to enter your assigned risk workers' compensation applications. If your agency doesn't have an account, then you need to have somebody, or you could have somebody from your agency set up an account. We don't set it up for you, it's all very self-managed. Also, if your agency has an account but you don't personally have an account yourself, go to your agency's group administrator and have them add you as a user, and that way you'll have access to this system. So once you enter your username and your password, you click the login button, and then you'll see that on the blue bar on the top, we entered a new menu item called Certificates of Insurance. It's already there. It's in production. We put it in last week, and we've had several hundred certificates issued, and so far it's going great, no issues. So you click that Certificate of Insurance button, and it brings you to your Request Certificate of Insurance screen. So this is like the landing page, the home page for this system. And it goes through all the cans and cans, do's and don'ts, and everything I just went through. So I'm not going to go through it again with you. This is what I just covered with you now. So after you review this, there's a button down the bottom, Proceed to Create Certificates of Insurance. You click that, and it brings you to, this is it. This is the one page that you're going to have that you need. There are 3 sections to this page. Producer information's at the top, policy information is in the middle, and distribution information is down the bottom, and I'm going to cover those one at a time. The producer information. Now this is preloaded. It's already filled in from the information from the user's OR account. All of these fields are required, and they're all shown directly on the Certificate of Insurance form. You can't change the agency name. And yeah, I did raid a couple of agents' accounts and create some test stuff, so so I'm not actually an employee at Hub. So you can't change the agency name. As far as the agency address goes, there's a drop-down list available of the addresses that are in the agency's OR account. If the address that you want isn't there, ask your group administrator to add the address. They have that capability. The contact person and the phone number are there for you to enter, and like I mentioned before, the email. And these all show on the certificate, and they're all required. The middle section of the screen is the policy information. This is where you're going to enter search criteria to find your policy that you want to issue a certificate for. These are all different means of searching. You only use one of them at a time. The policyholder name is a contains search. So that means if it's McCarthy Electrical Inc. and you enter, or say it's McCarthy Electric Inc. and you enter electrical, you're not going to find it because it was too much of a search criteria. So keep it simple. enter as little as you can. You can always go back in and refine your search. Policyholder fee and policy number are exact match searches. It won't find policy numbers close to it. It's got to match it exactly. And policy effective date, this will return all policies that have your agency listed as the producer and that have this effective date. Now, don't try to type the date in. Use the calendar tool, because otherwise it comes up with garbage. It doesn't work. So you need to use the calendar tool. And you click the search policy button, and a list of policies come up with your search results. There's a few things I want to point out on this screen. On the bottom left, it shows you your search returned 122 results because I entered Corp as the search criteria, so it found everything possible that it contained Corp. So you always have the opportunity at this point to go back up and refine your search and search again, and new results will be displayed. If you can't refine it anymore, then on the right side of the screen, there's a scroll button, a scroll bar, so you can scroll. Also, all 5 of these columns are sortable. So if you click on the column headers, named insured, fee, insurance company, policy number, and effective date, you click on it once, it'll sort it A to Z. If you click on it again, it'll sort it Z to A. So once you find your policy, you're going to click the button, the Select Policy button to the left of the name. So you've identified the policy that you want to issue a certificate for, click the button, and it will highlight it. See how Nebel Management Corp is highlighted. Now, in some instances, remember I mentioned earlier that if this gets kind of complicated as far as on our end, as far as how the insurance companies report names to the Bureau. If they report they report name links and continuation sequences, and you don't need to know the detail. What it comes down to is you can only pick one name link. So on this policy, there were 2 name links, so you can choose one or the other. Now, if you need a certificate for both, issue 2 certificates. Or if you need the one certificate to show the 2 names, then you'll have to go to the carrier. Now, sometimes you'll have a situation where one name link contains several continuation sequences. So you got lucky and you get a bunch of names all in one package. And I think I show an example of that later. So once you've chosen your policy, and sometimes you may have to choose a name, then you're going to go down to the bottom part of the screen. This is the distribution information. So there's 3 parts to this section as well. The certificate holder distribution information, the policy holder distribution information, and the producer information. So for the certificate holder, you only need to enter the company name and the company address. They're both required, and they both show on the certificate form. The contact person, the phone number, and the email are all optional. But like I mentioned before, if you don't provide us with an email address, we're not going to distribute the certificate to the certificate holder. That will be on the producer to do that. You can also opt to have the certificate delivered directly to the policyholder. If you would like to do that, enter their name and email address, and it will be sent to them. And finally, the producer, at the end of this process, you're going to have the ability to save this certificate, the PDF, to your computer. So you don't need to have it emailed to you. But we do give you that option because it's one email that goes out that has all 3 emails on it. So the certificate holder, the producer, and the policy holder. So as soon as you generate a certificate, the email is sent and you can see who it went to. First of all, you know it went out, you got it, and you can see what other addresses it was sent to. So that way you have some evidence that it was delivered. But if you don't want to get the email, you can opt not to. The default here is yes. So if you don't change this, you'll always get an email. So once you're done selecting your policy and setting your distribution information, you can preview the certificate of insurance. So you click that button on the bottom, and a draft version of the certificate will come up. So this is your opportunity to go through this form and make sure all the details are right. This is what you wanted. If it's not right, or either way, if it's right or if it's wrong, when you're done reviewing this, you're going to X out of the screen, like close that window, go back to the page that you were on, and if it was good, if it wasn't good, you go back up, make the corrections as needed, and you can preview it again if you'd like to. Or if it was good as is, then you can click the Generate Send Certificates, and that will immediately send out an email. And like I said, it's one email. It's sent to the agent, the policyholder, and the certificate holder. It's got the PDF attached to it. And the email, just quickly, it says on whatever date, the agent from whatever agency generated the attached certificate of insurance based on the information in the Bureau's coverage database. And it says that gives the policy number, the named insured, and the certificate holder name. And it says, if you have any questions, please contact Chris Cronin. Now, that's not really going to have my name on there. My name's there because I entered myself as the agent for this example. It's actually going to have the agent's name on there. So if the certificate holder or the policy holder has any questions about the certificate that was issued, they're going to be contacting you, the agent. If you have questions about it, you can contact the carrier, or you can contact us. I would say the carrier, because they're the ones that have issued the policy and reported it to us. This is strictly what's just reflected in our coverage database. And the email address that we use, the mailbox that we use to send these out, don't reply to that. If you have questions about it, contact somebody at the Bureau's Customer Service Department, and they can handle your questions. But if you reply to this email, nobody's going to see it. So to go quickly through what's on the certificate itself, it's an Accord form. It's the latest Accord 25, 2014 version. It's got everything on there that's supposed to be there. It's got your date of issuance, your agency name and address, contact information, carrier, name of insured, the policy information, policy number, effective, expiration or cancellation date. If the policy's been canceled, it's going to show that. It will always show the statutory limits. If there are increased limits for employer's liability on the policy, that will be shown. On the left, the 3 NAs there, that's your executive officer exclusions, your waiver of subrogation, or your additional insured. Those are always going to say NA. Your certificate holder information is down the bottom on the left, and the form is signed by Dan Crowley, Vice President of the Bureau's Residual Market and Customer Service. And in the middle of the form, I didn't put an arrow on it, there's a certificate number. That's a counter, and it's a unique identifier that if you have a question and you need to contact the Bureau, we can always identify it with that number. So a couple of little variances you might have. If your sole proprietor or your partner has elected coverage, that's going to show in the description of operation box. And if they haven't, if a sole proprietor or partner has not elected coverage, it will say sole proprietor has not elected coverage or partner has not elected coverage. That's what we instructed the carriers to do, so we do it ourselves. And I mentioned earlier with the name links and continuation sequences. In this case, this name has several continuation sequences and they don't all fit in the named insured box at the top. So it continues down below. It says continuation of above named insured. So that's all part of one name link. So we get the whole thing on there for you. And then in the description of operation box, the standard text that always shows there, it will say, the first paragraph says, this only covers Massachusetts employees. If you hire employees in another state, coverage won't extend to those employees. And also, the other part says that this certificate's only as good as the date on which we issue it. If it's changed after that, if the policy's revised or canceled after this date, then then it's the information on the current policy would be different than it is on this certificate. So that's all I got. It's nice and easy, it's quick, and it's very fast. Actually, one more thing that I could mention is we made it easy for you to, if you've got multiple certificate holders or multiple policies for the same certificate holder, you can issue one, and the information's not cleared when you issue it, so you can go right back up, select a different policy, keep the policy holder information the same, and print out another one. Or if you've got, you know, just, they're easy to do repetitively. So hopefully you'll have luck with it, and it will reduce your stress levels, and you'll have some luck. Do we have any questions?
We do. First question is, does each person in the agency need their own login?
So the question is, does each person at the agency need their own login? No. The answer is no. You can all share an account, but they're free. It wouldn't do any harm to set up separate accounts for each user. It might, you know, might make it easier for you.
I have a second question. What if the certificate holder's email bounces back to you? Are we notified so that we can then send it to them? Thank you for your time.
So the question is, if a certificate holder's email bounces back to us, will the agent be notified? And right now the answer is no. We haven't found any situations where that's necessary yet. If it becomes an issue, that's something we can always look into.
That's all I have for questions.
So that seems to be all. So enjoy the rest of your lunch hour. It's a nice day. Go outside.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.